Marc Lamont Hill, can you hear me, brother?
I can tell you a complete certainty, although I didn't hear him, I completely disagree with that.
Even without hearing him. So here are his points. He says it's a double standard, that you're against the Israeli state, but there are 20 Islamic states, and people say they're anti-rape, but not when it's Jewish people being raped, that it goes beyond the analysis of a state actor and to the desire to have a group of people not exist, at least not within their own sovereign bounds. That's the line for Alan, and he believes it's been crossed way too much.
Okay, so let me start with the news peg that got us here, because I think we left out some important details. I agree with anybody who says that targeting a Jewish business because they're Jewish is anti-Semitic. Targeting Jews for any type of harm, any type of oppression, any type of inequality, any type of discrimination, anything you do to Jews because they're Jews that's negative is anti-Semitic. I think full stop. I don't think there's any disagreement on that. The issue that I have with this particular incident is that that's not what happened. The owner of this business is part of a list that was distributed over a month ago of Philadelphia businesses that are directly complicit with the Israeli state and with the oppression of Palestinians. His company, Cook and Solo, owns multiple restaurants, and he has very publicly said that he stands with Israel. He's very publicly said that he's donating and fundraising for an organization that is partnering with the IDF. So to be clear, you can still disagree with the choice to boycott or to protest, but it is not fair to suggest that it is simply inaccurate to suggest that they targeted the business because they were Jewish. They targeted the business because the protesters believe that they are directly complicit with the Israeli government. And as further evidence of this, the protesters haven't protested any other Jewish businesses in the city. They targeted this one because he's a big name, a big person who has a extraordinary influence. Now to the bigger question.
Alan. Oh. All right, hold on. Let me see if Alan agrees with the qualification.
Well, but again, they're targeting only businesses that have allegedly an association with Israel, not businesses that have an association with some much, much worse offenders of any kind of human rights. There are organizations and businesses that support Hamas, that support Islamic Jihad. We don't see any demonstrations about that. We see only demonstrations about Israel. And singling out the one nation state of the Jewish people, it seems to me, does cross the line into anti-Semitism. Look, scratch an anti-Zionist, and you usually find two things. One, they hate America, and two, they hate Jews. There are some exceptions to that. There are some anti-Zionists who are not anti-Semitic or anti-American, but the vast majority of people participating in these demonstrations that have signs, gas the Jews, Palestine will be free. Free of what? Free of Jews from the river to the sea. Clean the Middle East. That was what the Nazis said, that Jews were dirty. So we're seeing a lot of anti-Semitic tropes that are disguised as anti-Zionism, but really fall on the side of anti-Semitism.
Mark, what do you believe he has wrong?
Just about everything. So one point that Alan made that I strongly disagree with is that Israel's being singled out here. You see right now protests about not buying electronics because of Congo. You go to this protest rally on the left, the people that you refer to as the woke crowd, they're also not eating at Chick-fil-A because of the company's disposition toward LGBTQ folk. There are lots of positions that people take. The reason why you often see protests and boycotts of Israel in particular is because we are responsible for funding Israel to the tune of more than $3 billion a year. So I have a greater level of complicity with Israeli oppression than I do with Ugandan oppression of gay folk or Kashmiri Muslims being oppressed. Right? I have a different relationship to that state. But I absolutely believe that when civil society from Palestine calls and says we want a boycott, we want a protest, I feel the need to stand in solidarity with their call. And people aren't being protested because they're Jewish. They're being protested because they're complicit with the Israeli state. I have a right to say that I disagree with the Israeli government practices. Alan and I, and you all agree on that. But here's
you have a right to say, not you, Mark, because this. Yeah. I know you don't have this in your head or your heart, but they can say they hate Jews. They can say that you should get rid of the Jews. You can say a lot of things, and certainly some of these people.
But here's the point I'm trying to make, because I agree, you could say all of that, and that would be evil, it would be despicable. We all agree that that's something you shouldn't say. And I would also disagree with Alan's claim that that's a dominant narrative at these protests. I go to protests, I see protests, I cover protests. The awful, disgusting sounds like gas the Jews are infinitesimal compared to, free Palestine, Palestine rights, stop the occupation, end genocide. But the point here is, when people, and this is my final point, when people say that they have an issue with the Israeli state or with the Jewish state, they are not saying that they don't want Jewish people to exist. I'm not talking about the crazies, the Nazis, the evil people. Most people are saying that Israel does not have a right to exist as an ethno-state that is exclusionary and not representative of all of its citizens. That's what they're protesting. When they want to free Palestine, they don't want it Judenrein. They don't want it Jew-free. What they want it is to be a single democratic state where everybody, Jews, Gentiles, Christians, Muslims, can be together in one place with one person, one vote.
The good news is that the people who are going to crush me for censoring you at the beginning of the segment when you couldn't hear will be balanced out by the people who watched Alan Dershowitz disappear and realize that I let you finish the segment, which now will somehow prove that I am once again the worst of both sides. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.